This video we're going to be covering the Season 2 patch notes for Warzone 2. We're only going to cover the Warzone side of things, so if you do want to read through the DMZ patch notes, I'll leave that linked down below. But we don't really play too much DMZ, so I don't really want to talk too much about it. Plus, I don't really know too much about that game mode in general anyway. So we've got some global changes when it comes to this game overall. We've got some crashes and stability fixes, which obviously we're expecting. Audio changes here, so data suggests some PC players may be experiencing audio issues and discrepancies in the number of channels they are outputting. We've added an option for PC stereo output. I don't think it's that's the issue, to be honest, and I do think console players will also be having audio issues as well, so I don't know why they've directed this update just to PC players. Bit weird, but it doesn't really mention anything to do with console here, unfortunately, so you might just be stuck with what you've got on console just there. Audio occlusion is a filter that's applied based on the type of material that an object structure is composed of, primarily based on thickness and the blocks of the frequency of sound. So again, it's just going to depend on how this is actually done in game, really, to be honest, because they can keep talking about it, but audio just one of those things they need to kind of get a good balance on. UI changes, improved navigation in the camo menu, more polished social tab, obviously we needed that, new my bundle screen, obviously because they need to sell bundles, quick equip items for battle pass, bundles and store, obviously so you can buy some more stuff, reticle previews in the gunsmith, we do need that. Improved clarity of attachment blocking logic, that I don't really know what that means, and many more bug fixes. We've also recently introduced a fix that restored instant speed of recent players in menu, status of friends, experience, improved after action with audio, play again feature in Battle Royale, which is handy, and bug fixes over there. We do have weapon balance, which doesn't really state too much other than weapon balance. So cool, we don't really know what's being balanced, so maybe Raven Software will release some patch notes on what weapons do or don't get balanced there. If not, we'll just be waiting for the sim.gg website, essentially. The Gulag, 1v1 Gulag will be returning, and players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic domination flag style in place of the jailer. I didn't really have an issue with the 2v2 aspect of the Gulag. It was just the fact that the jailer was in there was my main problem. Like, I didn't really have an issue with the 2v2 Gulag, but don't get me wrong, 1v1 Gulag's always better because it's just more consistent. In order to bring this change online sooner, we have edited the existing Season 1 Gulag for better 1v1 combat, but they're actively working on dedicated 1v1 maps. So the current Gulag will be on the same map, but it'll be 1v1, but the map's obviously quite a bit larger because it's meant to hold 2 players there. So it just kind of makes sense overall there. That's just standard. We've also made some logistical changes to the Gulag experience. Ground loot has been revised or revisited for that matter, which kind of makes sense. We've updated the pool to include assault rifles, SMGs, kind of a bit like the old Gulag essentially. And then for those leaving the arena of various Gulag, we'll grant larger cash rewards for players, which is pretty cool, alongside increased victory rewards. I think that's like obviously when you go and pick up certain things and you can take it with you back to the main map. The cash economy, in addition to the cash changes in the Gulag, basically outlined above, there will be basically more stacks of cash around the map, hopefully. So now basically stacks of what were previously 100 are now 500. So again, it's basically going back to the way it was inside Warzone 1. Loot and inventory, as announced last week, we're shifting away from loot windows and menus, so that's basically the satchel style. Will now drop out of all containers, so basically if you loot a bag, it's just going to drop all the loot out. And this change is to improve obviously the pacing of the game, which is obviously useful. We're excited to see that the backpack system give players the agency to customize their inventory for a desired playstyle, so they're not losing the backpack system. In our continued effort to balance engagements, medium and large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminate players will drop loot onto the ground rather than filled backpacks. Cool. So again, you will have a backpack, but when the loot drops, it's going to just drop as normal, but they have removed the medium and large backpacks, which is weird because I think it's actually a good system. I just think automatically these should be picked up, and on top of that, You just shouldn't be able to hold multiple kill streaks, especially self revives. I don't know why they didn't fix that aspect, but maybe it takes a bit more time to fix that, so they just removed the backpacks instead. So hopefully they add those back in, but without the ability to hold like ridiculous self revives. Loadouts have always been a core part of Battle Royale, and to be fair, they have been resolving this kind of side of the issue during the kind of course of the game already, so that's not really too much of a problem here. We pay close attention to the changes players have been seen with Warzone 2.0 since ultimately have been in the pursuit of most fulfilling experience for the individual and the team, all whilst keeping things challenging. As such, we're making further changes to how players acquire part or the entirety of their loadout. So again, that's really cool. Warzone 2 will introduce customizable perk packages, which is basically what we had before. This will feature launch of slightly reduced pool of available perks, which we may obviously reintroduce over time. So some perks obviously are completely unbalanced, so they're taking them out to add them back in the future. Standard stuff, to be honest, right here. So it's good that they can kind of vault things until they've sorted it out and then add it back in. Primary weapons will continue to be available at buy stations, which is really good to see, at a more affordable price point, so people can obviously get their weapons more regularly, which is obviously something you want to see there. Loadout drop markers, we also remain happy with the introduction of loadout drop markers, obviously because you get all your perks and stuff. The price of loadout drop markers have been slightly reduced, so it's just respective. Squad sizes can acquire their full loadouts at a faster pace, which is obviously very useful. The second loadout drop public event has been added, which means drops will now happen in the 1st and 5th circles, which again, you can get loadouts so many different ways now, which is definitely what we want to see in this game, because loadouts are a huge part of Warzone. Then we've got 3 plates, which is basically removing that 3-plate satchel thing, which you no longer need. They should add it back in as essentially the tempered perk from what we had in Warzone 1. I think that was the best change that could have been made with this. But we'll just need to wait and see, I guess. I don't really think this is too much of a bad thing, so everyone will start with 3 armor plates, which is obviously useful. Movement is my main thing, and they still haven't resolved the issue from the sounds of it, to be honest. So we've made an important tweak to movement that yield better outcomes for players in combat. So they've not really specified what that means. Starting with Season 2, players will be able to burst through doors whilst plating their way through if they were sprinting. This change includes slight increase to movement speed whilst plating. So we don't want slight increase, we want to be able to sprint and plate at the same time. Slight increase is not going to help anyone. And this allows players to get to cover faster in moments of need. We need to sprint while plating, let's be honest, man. It's just standard stuff. It's not even a broken mechanic or anything. Buy stations. In order to make buy stations and their goods easier to access, we revamped our approach. Spawn locations have been added and adjusted. Spawn will be static across the map, and loadout drop markers will have unlimited stock. Now, also, everything should have unlimited stock in my opinion, so it's just standard, it should be the same. As always, we will continue to monitor the global balance of our economy and availability of resources as we move forward. Everything at a buy station, if you're risking your life to get there, should have unlimited availability. That's the way I see it. Strongholds provide an alternative gameplay with high payoff for those who are willing to tackle the objective. Interested in robbing players of their rewards. We're committed to providing a balanced engagement for players who choose strongholds. Warzone 2. Season 2, sorry, will bring changes to rewards players receive from strongholds, black site completion, as well as additional adjustments to AI combat and damage. So they'll nerf the AI and maybe give you other rewards for doing a stronghold. So overall, seems like good changes. Personally, the stronghold should be removed, movement should be a bit better, but hopefully they fix that over time. Other changes are really good here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.